Hello, this is Short Me Tina from shortmetina.com doing a video recap for ticker symbol NVAX. So today we saw the stock shoot up about 32%, going from a low of, 145 to a high of about 193. Again, representing upside of about 32% compared to yesterday's close. So you asked me, is this stock a buy, sell, hold, or do nothing? So I kind of went back in time, like I normally do. I start out with the monthly, then I scale down to the weekly, daily, and then intraday. So for this one, I didn't go to the monthly. I just thought the daily was pretty sufficient for what I needed to do. So I'm going to switch to a daily here. And this stock is extremely volatile. Well, not extremely volatile, but it's had a wide range, right? So for the year, it's traded as high as about $9.88 to a low of $1.16, $1.16. So that's in a pretty wide range for a penny stock. So I'm going to zoom into the minute chart for the past 10 hours. And so again, you asked me if this stock is a buy, sell, or hold. Actually, let's go back to the daily so I can show you something. So around here, we saw like this big decline, right? A close of 834 and it opened the next day at 117. And the reason for that is this is I believe a pharmaceutical company that's trying to bring a particular lung or a drug to market that deals with lung infections. I'm not completely sure, but something along those lines. And the reason that we had the drop here is because the late stage clinical trials didn't meet certain endpoints. So they kind of have to go back to the, not necessarily the drawing board, but they have to, reconfigure things, for lack of a better way of putting it. So let's go back to the minute. So for me, the fact that it had such a big drop and such an increase in one day without any news, I'm going to call this more or less a dead cat bounce. So if we look at the minute chart actually looks extremely bullish, right? We shot up in the morning, we had some consolidation, and like most stocks, after we realized that the Feds were not going to raise rates, it increased. So we're actually we closed almost at the day's high. So the high of today, I'm going to zoom into the daily. Excuse the craziness. So the high of today is 194 and we closed at 193. So typically speaking, when you see something like that, if a stock closes close to the high of the day, most folks would indicate that that's a very bullish signal. But I'm not thoroughly convinced as of yet. So do I think that this stock can appreciate more tomorrow? Of course. But for me, the line in the sand right now is obviously the high of today, which would be 194, which I think we can potentially penetrate because we're not that far from there, and resistance of 210. Again, I don't like buying stocks at the high, so I wouldn't necessarily go long here. But for me, a good level of resistance to pay attention to is 210. If the stock can penetrate that, then we probably have a little bit of legs. So you asked for levels of support. So for me, I'll just list them without, doing the whole songing dance of drawing my trend lines. But for me, levels of support, and I have three. First one coming in at 184, somewhere around here. I think that's a level of support. Then we have 164, somewhere around here, and another level of support is 152. So just to explain to you briefly when I talk about levels of support, so for me, if you're going to long a stock, you want to long around support because history says that buyers tend to keep the stock up around there. So when you want to go long a stock, it doesn't make any sense to buy it where sellers are going to step in. That's resistance. You want to buy it where buyers are going to hold it up. So for me, that is 152, 164, and 184.